Hey, this is William for attackofthefanboy.com, and this is Star Trek Bridge
Bridge
something.
Crew.
Bridge Crew.
Yep.
Bridge Crew. If I only would have waited for that title screen, I would have known exactly what we were looking at.
Everyone just calls it Star Trek VR, though. I mean, that's the curse of making a VR game is your title doesn't matter.
Yeah. Have you gone where no one has gone before? Is that the quote from Star Trek?
Yeah, you're getting
Is
it.
that it? I'm
Are you
not a big Star Trek fan.
You're
no.
not a big Star Trek fan?
Not a big Star Trek
Oh,
fan.
man.
I didn't like it. My parents used to like Star Trek though.
We can't be friends anymore.
I know. Like I don't like old Star Trek, new Star Trek, new Star Trek. I don't like any of it. Just not a fan.
Well, if you are a fan, this is like your dream come true in video game form.
So
Which
you
I
are
am a fan.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan. I'm watching TNG right now, which is the next generation. I'm rewatching it. So, which unfortunately, this does not include any content from the next generation. It is the main mode is all in the new. I guess we're calling it the Abrams verse. We're gonna get real nerdy here. Will,
Oh
okay?
my god.
So,
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
So this is all in the new timeline that was started in the new Star Trek movie. At least most of this stuff is. They also threw in original series. We'll get to that. It's not that great. But if you can't tell, loading times are a little long. But
I was about to, I'm skipping through the
Yeah.
video as we speak going, is this just all
it's loading.
black?
It's good.
You
It's just, it was loading.
really
This is my first time recording a VR game, so it's not 100% perfect. But
okay.
anyway, so the way that this game works is you're simulating the bridge of a starship. So you have different stations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing by myself. Normally you would be in multiplayer, and each of these stations would be occupied by a person. So you have the captain, you have helm, you have tactical, and you have engineering. And
Okay.
each of those positions does different things. The captain is usually giving orders and deciding where to go and kind of gets to see what the objectives are and all that sort of stuff. So he's more communicative. He doesn't have too many actual functions, but then the other players are supposed to implement whatever he says.
Okay.
But playing by myself, I get to order the AI around, or I can take over their position and just do everything myself, which you'll see I have to do because the AI is okay. It's better than I thought it was going to be. It is far from perfect. They will sometimes just drive you into an asteroid and just park you there.
That's not good.
But as you can see, like the helmsman can directly manipulate and steer the ship, and it moves you around. It's a really cool feeling actually, and all of this is based around motion controls. You just hover over and pull the trigger to tap on the screen. It's an interesting idea to have motion controls that control a touch screen in the game, but it works pretty well.
Okay. How else would you do that with a controller?
Yeah,
Hey,
I
guys.
don't. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean it makes perfect sense for Star Trek. Everything in the show is based on touchscreens. It's just, yeah, it's a little odd. It's just it's a good idea. It's brilliant. But like you can see, like each of these stations is pretty intricate. Weapons has to keep the torpedoes armed, directs where they're going. Engineering is probably the most complex, where you're directing power and deciding like what system works better than others. Like if we need to go fast, you can put all of your energy into the engines, and then you can actually reroute power, which will drain power from the other sections and put it into whatever you're wanting to. So you can really get intricate in terms of what you want to have working best at what time. And you also are managing repairs. So if you're in a fight and anything goes wrong, different sections of the ship can be damaged and you need to repair them.
Okay. So what is this an experience or is this a game? Is there some sort of fail state? Are there like Klingons that are attacking your ship?
This is very much a game, and you nailed it. So
Okay.
I loaded up a research mission, which is extremely, calm, and that was so I could show those missions. But now I'm loading up a defense mission, which will get into some combat. So there's a campaign that you go through, and there are specific objectives, and you need to meet them. There's a bit of a story. It's not super in depth, but it's there. And then you have what are called ongoing voyages, which are randomly generated around a theme. So I chose that defense, and so what it's going to be is, some ship is in trouble, and we need to help them and fight Klingons, which are the pretty much the only enemy in the game are Klingons, which is a little disappointing. And I think that lends a bit to my overall criticism of the game. First of all, the game is amazing. I love it. Like I said, as a Star Trek fan, it's a dream come true. But it does feel very much like a base that needs to be built on. It's not full just yet, but it's enough that I think people are going to put a lot of hours into this game.
Is it? It's not early access, is it?
No, this will be a full release coming up very soon.
Okay. And you're playing it on the Vive, but it's also coming to PlayStation VR?
It's PSVR, Oculus, and Vive, and it's all cross-play. In fact, one of the few times that I actually got into a online match, which wasn't a problem with matchmaking, it's just that not many people are playing, but I got into a game with people both on Oculus and PlayStation VR.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Ubisoft is doing a good job of pushing VR, and they seem to know what it needs, which for a multiplayer-focused game like this, it needs a big community because you need to be able to find people that will take up the stations. Otherwise, it's a very different experience. So, that crossplay is a great idea. It seems to be working pretty well. We just met up randomly, and we were trying to figure out how crossplay was working, and it was working well.
Now, on the single-player side of things, are you familiar with FTL?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I love FTL.
Is it sort of the same sort of thing where you're managing the ship and repairs in a micromanagement really sort of way, or is it more just I'm going to throw some resources over here and do this, and that's going to be the end of this battle? Or do you have to physically line up these ships, and is it like a space combat game? I'm not understanding.
I mean, I wouldn't relate it to FTL at all. If anyone has played Artemis, it's a lot like Artemis, which is also one of my favorite games out there. And
I mean, not in the simplicity of FTL, but in the the idea of it. I don't know if you get what I'm asking.
So when you're playing single player, you don't really take over a station unless something's going wrong. So repairs, you're just going to look at your engineer and tell them repair shields. Okay. And then they'll do it. And on their side, it is a bit more, it's not too intricate. You're really just taking an engineer thing and putting it on there. But you usually stay pretty busy in terms of, if you're in a fight or anything like that, you're usually pretty busy doing stuff. Not necessarily micromanaging, but you're telling everyone what to do. You're telling, your helmsman to steer closer to them, or telling your weapons to arm torpedoes and all that sort of stuff.
And how are you doing that? When you say you're telling them, are you physically telling them through a microphone, or are you pushing something on the screen that's kind of sending something to them, telling them what to do?
This right here, that menu that keeps popping up, wherever you look, it's a different menu. So you've got, if you look at your helmsman, you can give them orders, approach the target. So on your screen, on your little local menu on your chair, you can pick a target, let's say a Klingon ship, and then you can look at your helmsman and say approach target, and you can look at your weapons and say, attack them, or you can look down at your main computer and just say engage target, and that does both at the same time.
How approachable is this for just VR enthusiasts? I mean, it's complex. It seems like it is.
It's pretty approachable, actually. It took me one good mission to really get the commands, and that's playing by myself. If you're playing with other players, it's really just, you just have your one little thing. If you're the helmsman, you just need to steer the ship. You don't need to worry about shields. You don't need to worry about repairs. All you're doing is steering the ship.
Yeah.
So And that's where the game really comes alive, is in multiplayer, where you're talking to other players. You can get into it and actually, use terminology and all that if you want. I'm not saying that I do, but
Yeah.
uh,
Can the can the Enterprise be blown up? I mean,
yes,
can
I
you die?
haven't yet, but I got really close, and I think in this mission actually, my hull was just about done near the end of this. Not this fight that's coming up, but this mission goes a couple of places and has a couple of fights, and it was as close as I've gotten. But yes, you can fail a mission. Um,
I mean,
if you're
failing would be
not doing
just
things right.
death, right?
Yeah,
Everyone everyone dying.
yeah. I
Does it
mean, you
have the
just
iconic characters? Are you playing as, or are these just kind of names that you don't? Because I don't know what
well, so
ensign
this ship isn't the
ensign
actual
Wade,
Enterprise. Yeah, this is a new ship made specifically for the game called the Aegis.
the
Um,
Aegis.
yeah, the Enterprise does come in for the original series DLC, but I think it's free. It's so actually I don't even think it's DLC, but they have the Enterprise in here for the original series. Um,
Oh man,
but no, it's not the same characters. It's just random characters.
I mean, Star Trek fans, there are many.
Yeah,
I mean, this would be their thing, right? Like this is the ultimate Star
yeah,
Trek
that's what I'm
game.
saying. Like this is the dream. Like you go to the '90s and you tell someone that virtual reality is becoming a thing. One of the first questions they'll ask is, "Did we make a good Star Trek game?" Like that's it. Like that's why I play that other game called Artemis, because it feels like you're on the bridge of the Enterprise or a starship. And this is officially licensed, and it fits perfectly. It's a little unfortunate that they don't have the other eras. It would be great if they had next generation. Hopefully that's coming at some point. But
This
I've
is
actually
like the
really enjoyed
60s
this.
era, right? Like this is the old Star Trek?
No, this is
No.
the brand new Star Trek.
This is the newest Star Trek?
Yes, but it's heavily based on.
Doesn't
It's set in.
I'm not
it's set
gonna
in the
lie, it
time.
doesn't look that great, like from a visual perspective, at least in the video that we're looking at. But maybe it looks better on the Vive.
Yeah, I mean, you get some weird stuff when you record a VR game. It's a bit different when you're in the headset.
Yeah. I'm just saying like the character models maybe look a little
Yeah, which that's VR is very hardware intensive, so the games don't necessarily go all the way. This is one of the best looking VR games out there, because VR in general, you really have to dial back the graphics if you want any sort of audience. This has to work on the PlayStation, for example. It's they're not going for top of the line. They just want something that looks good, and this looks very good in comparison to other VR games.
When is this coming out?
I think when this video goes up, it will be available,
It will be available.
or available very soon.
Yeah, it's been I mean, VR is kind of I don't know if it's flopped. I don't know if you can call it flopping at this point. You certainly enjoy it.
Yeah,
But
mean,
I don't know
kinda,
that like it is the year of VR or whatever it turned out to
No.
be. Like
Yeah,
really, if that happened and if a lot of people bought virtual reality, I honestly wasn't that happy with the PlayStation VR, and it made me motion sick and it made me blurry and it was all sorts of stuff for me. But I've thought about going back in and getting a Vive or an Oculus, and I almost want to wait for a new, like it feels like
New
VR
headset.
maybe just isn't, it's there, like you can have great experiences like this one, and apparently they're getting better, but maybe it's not where it's going to be in 5 more years. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah. No,
down the line, this is just the very start of it.
it's
and
still in the
down the
early
line, it's
access
gonna be
period. Yeah,
of the quality where I would be like, oh, this is awesome
yeah. It's
and totally
still,
worth it.
It's still an early adopter technology, and the thing is I think a lot of people are saying that they'll wait and see and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's one of the things that's holding VR back is that it needs this large community because games come out and then they just don't sell. And so people start to abandon it. So, it's really good to see Ubisoft put so much into this sort of thing. They have this, and they released 2 other games like Eagle Flight and Werewolves Within that were both pretty popular. So it's very good to see them putting so much effort in. And this is what VR needs is experiences like this that are just everyone understands them. I think everyone gets why this would be fun and why VR makes it so much better. So I think that this is a big moment for VR. It's not necessarily going to make 100,000 Vives fly off the shelves, but it's a solid game by itself that VR enhances, and that's I think what it needs more of. And VR didn't make the revolution that I think a lot of people were hoping for, but it's just slowly building toward it. I think I don't think anyone is thinking that VR is the only game that they're going to play. You still have games on your TV and on your PC monitor, and you're going to play them like that for the foreseeable future. But VR is making itself into something that really does fit into my gaming, life. This game, I've got a couple of friends that are going to pick it up, and I can see us playing, a bunch of this. As long as you play friends, you just hit each other up.
Yeah. I will never play this game, unfortunately.
You should go. You want to borrow my next generation Blu-ray set? I'll ship it to you. You can get caught up, and then play this game. It's cool though. You can see
Next Generation. I don't even know which one is that. Is that Picard?
Yeah, that's Picard. Which this is.
And the Strange. I hated that show.
That's okay.
I didn't like something about that. I just never liked Star Trek.
That's crazy. Star Trek was like my childhood. It shaped me as a person.
Yeah, that's
But see, this
insane.
this is a bit of a limitation of the AIs. They're not smart. They do their job, and they can get you through most missions, but they're not smart. Like this ship that I'm trying to attack is just out of range, and instead of like backing up just a little bit, he just kind of keeps circling in the wrong direction to get to them. So the AI is not the way to play the game.
Out of the way, Scotty.
Yeah.
I'm getting in here and controlling this thing.
Pretty much.
Is that what you basically do?
Yeah, and if you noticed, if you scan the ship, you can disrupt their systems. So you can like take out their engines or take out their shields using.
So it is
intrusion.
like FTL, but it's like a 3D version of it. That's what I was kind of asking. Like you're scanning the ships, figuring out, hitting different aspects of that ship and taking it out.
Yeah, you don't really target with the weapons. It's more the system intrusion is kind of a different thing. But
is there intrusion, or like they coming in the ship?
No. When I say system intrusion, I mean like hacking. Yeah, no borders or anything. You transport people, but it's only to rescue them. It's still a pretty simple game. This isn't what I would term like a simulator or anything like that. But just the immersion of being on the ship, all the sound effects are right. You can see there's a fire over there. Panels burst open when we were getting hit, and you can see lasers hitting the top of the ship.
And everyone's
sort of
just
stuff,
going about their business. Like,
really,
it's fucking fire.
Yeah, you got a mission. You can see later in the video I do load up the Enterprise. It's not amazing. It's all completely accurate, which means it's not touchscreens, it's buttons, and it's not great. I can't figure out what some of the buttons do.
This is more of a retro look to it. So you're like Captain Kirk in this bitch.
It's so hard to figure out what's going on. I don't see a lot of people actually doing missions on this, except as kind of a challenge. It's cool.
You're just
it's
ticking
really cool.
buttons. You're just like touching every button. How do you know what any of these things do?
I don't. I'm surprised they didn't cause the ship to explode.
You're like max speed, max shield.
Yeah. But
that's a lot harder to read than the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the regular mode is a lot easier to understand, and that's the one that you're going to play in the single player campaign. So I think that's what a lot of people are going to play in multiplayer. This would be interesting, but come on, Ubisoft, next generation, Enterprise D. That's what we want. You know we want that. Get that out there.
Whatever Kyle says, is there going to be downloadable ships? Maybe.
It's gotta have them. There's no way that they put this out there and they don't get other ships and other missions. We need some Romulan missions. We need a bunch of stuff. This is a base that they can build off of, and I think that they did a great job. I think it's worth whatever they're charging. I think that they're probably going to charge 40 or something, but I don't know. Whatever the price ends up being, I think it's worth it. It is for me, and they need to get some DLC going.
They need to get some DLC going. You don't hear that very often, folks. But that was Star Trek Bridge Crew. I don't think we're going to have any more of that unless that DLC does come down the line on our YouTube channel. But you will be able to check out a review for the game on attackofthefanboy.com. We'll get Kyle's full impressions of it. And for maybe other Star Trek news, you can check out our site.
Sure.
For Kyle, I'm William for Attack of the Fanboy, and thanks for watching.
We just lost our shield.
Captain, we're almost out of position. I'll save some torpedoes for later.
Damage report. Deck 14 has sustained serious damage.
That was some good work, Aegis. Thanks for the help. We're going to return to base. USS Suribachi, out.